Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for June 19th through the 25th, 2023. So before I begin, I just like to thank everyone for returning to this weekly series and joining me here each week. I'd also like to welcome anyone who's new to our Angelic Wisdom community and to also invite you to subscribe, to select the all notification bell, like, dislike, and to also leave your comments. I think this is a very important part of the community. What you share and um, the understanding that you receive from these readings can be a blessing to others. So never underestimate yourself in that way in your participation. Also, if you're looking for an angel reading with me and you feel really called to do so, please feel free to do so and do not hesitate. You can contact me at my current website, theangelschool.com/services. Um, and you can select the first time promotional offer if you're a new client. And there are other offers there as well. So if you're also just looking to contribute to the channel and you just want to say thank you in some way, no matter how small, you can select my PayPal Me link, which is in the description area below. So all these links I'm mentioning are there. And we're getting close to the end of the month where the months just seem like, when you're doing these videos, it seems like they seem like half of a month. But if you haven't checked out the general monthly reading, I think it's just really special and important. So make sure you um, check that out. The very first link below would be that video. And also, if you haven't, you can go to my uh, other social media pages, my Twitter account and Facebook account, where you can actually check out the monthly angel scopes for the different zodiac signs. You can also find it here on the community post, along with my daily card messages and readings if you haven't seen those daily card messages. All right, so let's go ahead and take a deep breath together. And just allow yourself to feel the love that's in your heart. And just be aware of the warmth and the love that is touching your heart as your guardians of light close around you. And whatever prayers or concerns that you have, lift them up to your angels now. And believe and trust that the greater good of what you seek is what will come to you. And so be flexible in your expectations, be open to your highest potential, and seek the good that you are seeking, seek it for others as well. And trust that you can access the greater good in everyone that if you are seeking it and expecting it and you've prayed for it, that that is what you will receive. But just be aware that not everything that's wrapped in beautiful packaging is the only way that the greater good is served. Each and every one of us, just as we are, can precipitate or facilitate these divine actions. And everything happens for a reason. And everyone is where they need to be and responding in the way that they need to in order for you to have your awakening, which will allow you to receive your blessing. The angels are showing me the angel number 255, and me with all of these things in my book. I keep forgetting to take them out. Always stuffing bookmarks. It says, trust that the change you are experiencing is for the best, because it is. And that really confirms what was just said. It's the change that we often spend our time resisting. And the changes are the greater good at work. The changes are the signs of your prayers unfolding. It's a sign that things aren't going to remain the same. And this is something that's not very elusive in our physical world. Change sometimes comes as a crack in the wall, alerting you to act in a way that will benefit you most. Change is also a reflection, they're writing, of agreements that you've made. Perhaps within your soul or in your dreams. Change is a way to encourage you to do something about the things that are stressing you, or to relieve that stress. Changes can be stressful, but it's a call to action. It's a call for you to join the process of your prayers, your requests. And these are different things they're writing. Change is a way to help you, a way to help you to express or speak out or speak up. And sometimes we don't handle it well, and that's okay. If you could really release these judgments about yourself in terms of this neat little package that we're always trying to cultivate, and the face that we want others to see, not the truth that we want them to know, to witness. And there's a little difference there, isn't there? Because that package usually is trying to cover up the truth that we're ashamed of. And we are quite often ashamed of our truth, the way we are, our unique, our uniqueness. We're afraid of it because we're afraid that others won't find it appealing. They won't agree. They won't validate. And boy, that's the scariest thing in the world, to stand alone, to have no support, to not have a feedback that confirms or affirms who you are. In the writings that have been in the daily card messages have really been talking about the external world or external reality and how much power we give away because of it. It makes it all so confusing and mixed up and unsettling and frustrating when you can't get the external reality to affirm your internal journey. Your internal journey is always ahead, way, way, way ahead of the external reality. In fact, the external reality is old news by the time you perceive it. It just caught up. When you're ready to move on to the next thing, that your internal reality has already started to formulate. And this is the number, and I'm interested in it was 255, now it's 855 that they just showed me. It says huge increases in your financial flow are occurring right now. That right now is not in the external reality. The right now is in your internal reality. Once you ask, or once you're aware of what you need, it is conceived and therefore created. And that's what's hard to have faith in. When you're inspired, that's the moment it happens for you. That's the moment it's been created. When you can feel what it is you want, the moment the idea was conceived, you feel it, you're inspired. The moment that you take your attention away from it, that inspiration, and place it on the external reality, you feel disappointment. You feel, for lack of a better word, depressed in a way. It's not really the right word, but we're really disappointed. And it's like, because we realize we're not in reality, but you were in reality. Because that moment is the present, the moment where all of your attention is now gathering itself and moving in that direction. And they're writing the word focus. When you're inspired, you have to focus on it in order for it to become true. When you're inspired, you have to focus. And you have to prepare yourself for that focus. You have to make decisions that affirm that focus, that move you in the direction of that focus, that allows you to be an open vessel for everything that that focus is about. Yeah, the external world is there and showing you a very different picture and a very different story. But that shouldn't disappoint us. That shouldn't unsettle us or unnerve us. That shouldn't bring us back down to earth, so to speak. Because isn't that moment, the internal process, what life is all about? That looking forward to? They write, yes. Hope. It's sort of like what keeps the soul burning, keeps that flame burning. Hope. To give it away because of reality is a great mistake. Because what has that done for us all? And we all have plenty of experience with that. Our lives appear to be stagnating, but it's never that. It's changing, but just in a very different way than what we want. It changes to meet the expectations of your beliefs. It becomes worse in our usual assessment when things aren't going the way we want them to. They go the way we don't want them to, and they keep going in that direction because change is inevitable. Change is something that has to happen no matter what. Awful to think about, but from the moment we're born, we're dying. And yet somehow we all figure out a way to deal with that reality. Even though it's our deepest fear, we still find a way to live with that reality. I was thinking about my aunt after she passed, and the one thing that I realized about her that she was constantly enthusiastic about life and constantly reinventing herself. Every time she reached that plateau in her life or her career, she was reinventing herself. She started a life, new life story, so to speak. I mean, the very last thing that she was doing before she developed dementia is that after the doctorate degree at 70, she started working on motivational speaking. And she was deadly afraid of traveling by plane, but she did travel to this place. I don't remember she did by plane to a conference for motivational speaking because she didn't see life. Isn't it interesting? So we all know that death is inevitable, but we believe in life. I mean, we're living, but we see everywhere, and by the people in our lives, our loved ones, they eventually die. They die at any possible age, and we know our number is coming, and yet we somehow are able to focus on living. Not just life, but living, despite that fact. So, why is it difficult for us to focus on living when it's inspired? The ideas, though, is where we struggle to follow through on the ideas that are given to us, the divine wisdom and guidance, the ahas, the opportunities. Why are we afraid of living in this sense? Because when a new opportunity comes, even though it comes with responsibilities and things that the uncertainty you fear, but why? That's a reality. Why are we afraid of it over the things that we can't possibly know? But we give our fears to that, what we cannot see, just because in our heads it's all going to go wrong. But the idea of anything going, working out, and becoming a success is hard to believe. Giving too much emphasis to the external reality in terms of validation, that's all this is giving your power away. The practice of being yourself aligns that external reality with the inner reality. Not perfectly, but more closely in terms of timing. And by being your authentic self, this means that you're more clear, you're more direct, you're more open, you're even more realistic about who you are. You know who you are. And I don't mean realistic in the sense of it's not realistic to try to be what others want you to be. Know what your strengths are. Stop trying to work to an idea of success that you believe is needed or is wanted in order for you to reach that opportunity. Know who you are. This is confidence. Know what you are not. This is also confidence. But know that you are also great potential. And at some point, what is developing will be fully become a full strength within yourself. But being your authentic self allows you to align with an outer reality that reflects you. That when you look at it, you say, I feel good with this because this is me. This is not the the influence of anything or anyone else. Because when you rely on so many other factors and people, then what happens is there's so much more that needs to come into agreement and therefore needs to change. When you focus on being yourself, you close that circle, you make it smaller, and then easier for you to manage, for you to work with. When we're afraid, the tendency is to question everything and then run to everyone. And that just makes it a bigger issue when you always are being called from within to follow your heart. But now you can't do that because you dragged many into it, and now you're going to be worried about what they think about your decision. And then sometimes you blame them because we're not in our right minds, for, which is unfair to them and to you. So if the angels are telling you that huge increases are happening for you, then this means, with all those fives in there, and let me just go back to that number again, because of the changes, pay attention to the changes that are either that are inspired to you or that are happening to provoke an inspiration. And sometimes the way that we're provoked is a challenge, it's an obstacle. But this, how you see that experience, can only be shifted or acknowledged from your inner desire. When you connect with your inner desire, you will see what's happening in the external world as a force of cooperation rather than adversity. Remember, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. All right, let's take a look at the archangel that we're working with. And it's Seraphim Seraphisa. So the seraphims are 12th dimensional, and they ask you to relax and open up to source. Now, this is a really important message. When you relax, and there are many ways, and you need to be aware. See, this is going back to knowing yourself. You need to be aware of what relaxes you. You need to be aware of this for very important reasons, because this will set the tone, the stage for your entire day. And it will create a stage in which your goals and dreams are fulfilled upon. And if you are relaxed, then you are more receptive to change that is occurring for you. You're receptive to the purpose of that change. And this gives me a sense of a higher calling motivating your life experiences right now. I'm just really drawn to this light, this that's shining down upon Seraphim Seraphisa's head. And the feeling is that this is what is happening to us right now. So the seraphim do not directly communicate with us, but they do influence the larger scope of our lives, sort of in this way that their energy is able to touch you and sort of inspire your consciousness to move into a certain direction or to be open to certain opportunities. And so the second line says, keep your heart open. And there she has a flame in her heart. And that flame, sort of like that hope we were talking about. And in that moment of hope, you are most receptive to the most expansive ideas of your life. And perhaps right now, this is that time. I've been getting a lot of personal messages for myself to wait, to rest, relax. I was doing a lot of job searching, and then the thing is that in the midst of this, I've been told to do this. And I'm sharing this with you because I believe that this is universal for all of us right now. We're so used to doing the things that we've done in the past, in the old paradigm. And now our calling is bigger, it's better. The change, the type of change is an imperative that we really now are more authentic. We're being called to be more authentic than ever before. To get this right with ourselves so that our external reality is closer rather to what it is that we truly envision for ourselves. But first, we have to get clearer about what is realistic about what we envision in terms of the paradigm of love. Because our fears, that paradigm of fear, the ego tells us that we need a lot of things that we don't need. The soul does not need anything. Now, that's a hard concept for, since we're in a human experience, it's inconceivable of even what that means. But it's true. It needs nothing because it knows it can create anything it desires. So need sort of acknowledges lack, and it does not acknowledge it. Being in the human experience, we are in a dilemma as everything that we do create lags behind us in time because of linear time. Your soul is not in the construct of any time. And so we feel like we're playing catch up. And the more we play this game, the more we find that we're chasing life, we're chasing our dreams, pursuing them, not realizing that if we relaxed more, opened our hearts, be open to the inspiration that can only come when we are true to ourselves. It comes more readily and more clearly and with more faith. Imagine if you really are honest about what you want and what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and then what your potential might be. And then you acted within the scope of all of this, knowing that that can change and expand and evolve. But if you were being real with your inner self, just how much more satisfaction you'd have with the external world. Because the expectations that many times have nothing to do with what you really want, but is what you see and believe you must have in order to feel good about yourself, that keeps you in this holding pattern. And the confusion about life and purpose and love and being in love and knowing if it's real or not, it's because the lack of honesty, clarity, and authenticity that you have with yourself. The clearer, the more direct, the more pure you are in how you qualify all of this, will make a huge difference in the way that life is able to reward you. Okay. Tough concepts because it's just physical world. We've gotten used to it and the way it looks and feels. And but look at this. This card comes up again, and the message on this card says, "Deceit is a lie that wears a smile." And I feel like that this card is coming up again, and at the beginning of the week, that this is going to be a challenge, how you deal with getting to the core of who you truly are. And they're writing the word examine, not not to judge, but just examine your interactions, not from the perspective of the other, but from the inner to the outer to the other. Examine what face you first reach for. First, are you reaching for a mask to cover up something that you don't want to see in yourself or have revealed to another? And then examine, why are you afraid of that? Why are you afraid of coming out and being your true self? Why are you afraid of shining bright in front of others? Why do you have to hide that light? Examine this. Examine just how foolish and absurd and how unnecessary it is. And examine why your mind thinks and assumes that everyone else will not be happy with you. I know this is Pride Month, and the story I'm going to tell is a gay pride story, but it's not the total reason for me sharing it, because it's about just being ourselves. But this is why I said that for this group of people, this is the healing that they bring to the world. This is a part of ourselves that we all need to see, because we struggle with being ourselves. And being gay is difficult because in society for so long it has been gone from, well, it still is. I mean, people have such deep hatred and intolerance for it, although the landscape on the outer has changed greatly in terms of uh, the media and how much of it is sort of being integrated in terms of inclusion. But I want to illustrate this for those of us who are afraid of being who we are. This is not just about your sexuality, but about speaking up and stepping into that position of power, whatever it is, expressing your love. I had several students that in the school were, and they never came out, but kids picked on them just like they picked on me, about being gay constantly. And it's interesting that at one student, when he came out, they all supported him. And I always wondered, what was the difference? I think because that student, there was such a peace within him. I mean, I had him since pre-K, and there was such a peace within him, that I saw that never shifted in his. And so when he came out, because of his internal reality, was so close to who he always was, even though he didn't reveal that up until that point. But because the way he lived inside was so close to who he was on the outside. There was great acceptance. I think that the shock kind of, when we are not, I'm not going to say this thing I was about to say, I'm going to say this first. When we do not have the internal alignment, peace, and harmony within, and we come out in some way different than people expect, there is a reaction. That reaction is a mirror of what you are hiding from yourself, how you feel, and all the thoughts and beliefs that have created that feeling. And the universe is the most authentic and true and honest in this way. So that when whatever we're experiencing outwardly, is to mirror, to help us to examine ourselves and to clear away those things, habits, patterns in ourselves that are holding the entirety of your soul and the rest of the souls around you behind. So think about it before you put another mask on yourself. Now, here we have the Page of Swords. And the message says here, a new idea changes the size of the mind forever. So it's really important right now that those ideas that inspire hope in you, that you don't shut them down, that you don't dismiss them or discredit them, but that you explore them. Be curious. Let your curiosity take you on an adventure of discovery of what your truth is really about, and it's what it means, how it might impact. So open yourself up to these opportunities that are coming to you right now. They're bubbling up within you. Be a witness to the new and true reality that is emerging. Stop giving all of your attention to the pain that is past. It's done. Whatever you're witnessing outside of you, well, it's done. It's actually past, it's done. That's why it's physical. It's finished. It's there. We're so into manifestation, which is interesting to even hear myself say that. Why are we so into manifestation over, I don't know what to call, I guess I don't know if this is an opposite, but just play with me for a minute as I'm playing with what they're giving me. But it's like inspiration would be sort of the opposite of manifestation, like sort of omega, alpha and omega. And why are we so focused on the end versus the beginning? Because the beginning is where life is. It's where life flourishes. It's where life opens up. It's where life changes. The end, well, it's there. And like when all things are born, from the moment they are born, they are dying. So your external reality is just in the process, you're watching death. You're watching things begin to die because everything in the universe changes either from the point of inspiration or manifestation. And why are you so tethered to the manifestation? Why are you suffering so over something that is starting to die? Why is it that you are so focused on what you lack? Because lack is the gap between inspiration and manifestation, or manifestation and inspiration. Better yet. So, why don't you, if you're in a place of lack, why don't you start living on your inspiration rather than on your manifestation? You know, it's sort of like your manifestation is your capital. Leontine Price said in a video I was watching last week, to sing on your interest rather than your capital. So hopefully you understand this. You may not, but you know, as a singer, if you sing on your capital, that means you're pushing, you're exhausting the voice. But when you sing on your interest, that's your that's the part where I find that the voice functions with greater ease and flexibility. Because and so the 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 inspiration is sort of the interest. It's sort of like, it's, if you use your capital right, then what's going to happen? You're going to start to become, well, I don't want to put it this way, but your investment starts to dwindle. But if you're living off of your interests, your capital can continue to grow for you more interest, right? So I know we're all caught up in having things, getting them, and feeling a sense of success and satisfaction by doing so. But what if you're just on a path to decline in this way? And if you're on that path of inspiration, you're allowing your heart to open where things come to you more readily, where in the moment when you actually are feeling that inspiration, that something manifests, it's working with your process of moving forward, of living life to the fullest. Whereas the way we're doing it now, I can't be happy until I get that, manifest that thing. So now inspiration is not accessible to you, and the weight of wanting something weighs you down heavily, makes you miserable. Okay, so here we have the Chariot card. And the card says, where there's a will, there's a way. So we all know that mess, that we've always heard that. And that reminds me of my Aunt Loretta. I had my shoestrings tied in a knot. I could not get it out. And I was frustrated. See, I was constantly doing and not taking a moment to examine the shoelace. And my Aunt Loretta, always so full of wisdom, told me to stop. And she said to me, remember, where there's a will, there is a way. And she said, you just stare at that shoelace for a minute. And God will show you the way, because he knows your willingness. Wow, I get really, because when you saw her video, when she does something, she would say it emphatically like that. And it just touches me even right now. And that's the message that we need to hear right now. There is a will. When you have the will, there is a way. When you show the universe your willingness, the universe makes that way. But inspiration is where that willingness comes from, where your willingness will come from, and the way for you to fulfill that will. So, again, they were talking about this earlier. Focus. Focus. When you're inspired, focus on it. Don't focus on anything else. That means don't talk about why it's not a good idea. That's not important right now. You don't need to know the cons. What you need to focus on is the way. that this will be able to occur. But you don't keep impulsively, you know, doing this, doing that. You sit. Because if you do that, you're going to put on these faces, and then we'll be back to the drawing board, back from where you started. Confused, unsuccessful, unclear, etc. Panicked and anxious. All right, I forgot to pull the card from the bottom of the deck, and the time is really running out. But the Page of Cups, I'm going to leave the message here. I just shook the thing. It says, the best use of imagination is creativity. So be creative. Think creatively. And that means creativity is without limits. You don't think about limits when you're being creative. That is not that. I don't know what to call it right now, but it's not that. All right, so you you know, be open-hearted. I think of the Page of Cups. Be open-hearted and use your imagination. Again, explore, be curious. God bless you. Have a beautiful week. We're surrounding you with wings of love.